Boom, there we are. We're back. We're live. The Bay Ragni Show. Happy Monday and happy 2023 to you and yours. I'm here. I can't wait to talk to this fucking guy right here. Let me tell you, my fucking paisan over here.
That's right, dude.
Let's
That's right.
welcome to the
Yeah.
show he's not technically he is, but he isn't from Philadelphia. He's actually from over the
New
bridge,
Jersey. Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. My whole family's from South Philly, but yeah.
South. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk.
Yeah.
Let's
This
welcome
is
to the
great.
show, Mr. Anthony Renzulli. Ant, welcome to the show, buddy.
What's going on, Bay, dude? It's been a while, man.
Oh
It's
man.
been a while, but thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So, I don't like to play games. Let's cut the bullshit. We're gonna get right into it.
Oh, man.
First off, I got to ask the magical question because
Okay.
you are you're an Italian.
Right.
You're from the Philadelphia area, and I ask all my fellow Italians this very vitally important question:
I already know where it's going. Go ahead. Ask it.
Is it gravy or sauce?
I knew that was the question. All right. When I was a kid, it was gravy, and I'll tell you why. Because there was no chunks in it. It actually looked like gravy. It looked like brown gravy.
Wow.
So just quickly, do you want any gravy? Like it, because that's what it looked like. It looked like red gravy. But as you get older and you start, like different things, like I call it sauce. If I see chunks in it, it's sauce, dude. You know what I mean? There's
Wow.
if I see like tomato chunks and like it's sauce, right? But if you're giving me the gravy boat and I'm pouring red, it looks like gravy, dude. So like I'm kind of on both ends, and I don't want to say that really, but when I was a child growing up, it was gravy. It was gravy because that's what it looked like. But that's kind of where I stand on that. What about you? What do you think it is?
So it's crazy because it was always gravy.
Mm.
Like I knew no different than gravy.
Right.
And then the weird thing was, did you experience this? Let me ask you this one, because I talked to other Italians, and it's like it was like the light bulb went off. Like when you start getting older, like your young teens, and you start going to like your friends from school's houses that are not Italian.
Mm.
You start going to their houses, and you're there, like, and the parents are like, "Oh, just stay for dinner," and then they could be having macaroni, and they bring out the ragu,
That
or
happened. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know where you're going now.
yeah, or just like a dinner, and you're like eating it, and you take that first bite, and you're saying to yourself, this is what I'm used to. Like, what's going on here?
You really can't understand like how spoiled we are with it, especially like my father, I think, and I'm almost positive, was the first Renzulli born in this country.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I'm the second, and my brother's a third. So from that standpoint alone, what did you say? What was your last part of it that you said?
You would take that first bite of food at your friend's
Ragu.
house, yeah, or it could
Because
be ragu.
that's what, or Prego. If I'm in a pinch, I'm a single guy, man. If I'm in a pinch, maybe. But it's blasphemy in my house to do that. Like it's kind of like blasphemy, and like I didn't understand like how you don't understand how spoiled we are as Italians until you go out and experience something like that, and it's like we eat like kings, like and for some like the food just keeps coming out. You don't know where it's coming from, but it's constant. Like you go like this, oh, so full. You do that like 1,000 times, and like
but you don't
said,
stop eating.
I now I have to, but before I didn't care. The food was so good. My mother's a great cook. Everybody in the family's a great cook. My sister-in-law is a fantastic cook. My brother's spoiled when it comes to her.
That's funny.
She's Italian. She's like the last. I call her the last of like the great Italians. She loves being a mom. She loves to cook. You know what I mean? Like she's just like, I call her the last of the Mohicans. She's the last,
So
the last of it.
the funny thing is, and you don't know this, so I'm going to tell this little funny story. So I actually met Anthony for the first time. It was about 3.5 years ago with
Yeah,
our friend Bullwinkle, our mutual friend,
yeah,
uh,
boy.
which he told me to tell you hello.
Yeah, same here. In his
Uh,
own special way, he said, So, but
so
yeah,
he
it was
brought
at the
us.
Tom. It was at the Tom Kiefer concert, right?
Yes, yes, we went to Tom
Yeah,
Kiefer,
yeah,
and
dude.
I remember he said to me, he said, "Yeah, my buddy Anthony's coming with me." I was like, "All right, cool." So when we met that night, he introduced. He's like, "Yeah, this is Anthony Renzulli." I'm like, "Oh fuck!"
Dude, I didn't
Now,
even recognize you at first.
no,
I really
nobody
didn't.
recognized.
I really didn't at first, and I was like, really? And then the whole wrestling thing started, right? We started
Yeah,
talking about wrestling, and then forget about it. Like it was just like I was like, I know this guy. Do you know this guy? You were like, oh yeah, I got him on my like I got him on my phone. And I was like, shut up. It's like I kind of felt like I already knew you through that, right? It's like that we were at that bar across the street from the Keswick.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I remember now. Yeah, I definitely remember.
But
Yeah,
the thing, so I didn't say this to you, and I'm going to say it now, and I saved it for this special occasion because I
awesome.
knew at some point we would finally sit down and have an interview. Um, I knew of you and your name for fucking years. Like
Wow.
I always said, like I guess it was the late 2000, like 220, 2008, 2009, in that era. Um,
Yeah.
there was a big buzz in Philly about you, and
Yeah.
there was what were them? There would be like the monthly magazines in the clubs.
Oh yeah, like Origivation was my
Yeah,
favorite.
that's what it was.
And
Origination.
out in the town,
Yes.
God bless Mikey Vagnoni,
Yeah.
just passed away. But out in the town magazine,
Yeah.
Origivation, they were awesome to me, man. They really were. They
Yeah.
really were. They
So
were. Yeah.
I would see your name constantly, and I was like, who the fuck is Anthony Renzulli? Where'd this kid come from? He's creating this buzz. I'm like, where is he? And then then I started hearing you, like you would be on like local radio stations. I'm like,
Yeah.
this fucking kid is doing something.
Yeah.
Like, what
We
the
were
fuck's
full
going on?
force then. I was young too, man. I was younger. I was in my
Yeah.
mid-20s, and I was like full. I would play anywhere, man. And I kind of still am like that, but I was just always trying to get to that next level, to that bigger show. And
Right.
I believe in like that hard work, that
Yeah.
playing your open mics, working your way up. And
Hmm.
I took that route. And then when I met Anthony from Origivation and Mikey Vagnoni, Bullwinkle, man, they really helped me out. A lot of clubs, Ronnie Tagg, Tony Bertelli, like I can name names all day long, all day long.
Wow.
They really helped me out a lot. Yeah. So I got to give thanks to them for that, for creating that kind of buzz. And like, we were all dedicated musicians. We did it because we loved it. We never really got paid a lot, like we
Mm,
never did it for
yeah.
money, like if you're,
Yeah.
if you're going to be a musician for money, don't be a musician. Just don't. Or you could be in a cover band, wedding band. Yeah. You can
Yeah.
make money like that. But if you're like, I'm going to buy a guitar to make money, nah, man, don't do it, dude. I'm sure wrestling was the same way, man. You know what I mean? Like,
The
I'm sure.
wrestling world and business is so parallel to music. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, man. Remember
It's
the rockin', what was it, man? When the Saturday night main events came out, I was a little kid, man, in the '80s,
Mhm,
and then
mhm.
Cyndi Lauper and all them, and Captain Lou
The
Albano.
Rock and Wrestling Connection.
That's what it was, man. That was a big deal. Like back then, like wrestling was all over TV, and if you were a boy in the mid '80s, I don't care. I don't care what you say. Wrestling was in your life. If
Yeah.
you were a boy in the mid '80s, late '80s, wrestling pay-per-view, dude. Remember we had to like beg our parents, like it was like $40 or $50 for like WrestleMania or something. Like, oh,
we,
please,
we would like have parties for the pay-per-views, and everybody would pony up $5 each to pay for them.
Absolutely. They did that
Now,
for the Mike Tyson fights too.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Now you pay $10 a month and you get the history of TV and free pay-per-views. It's like
it's nuts nowadays, man. It's nuts. I almost kind of get why kids are in their phone like constantly. I almost get it. Because if you would have gave me this when I was a kid, God knows where I would be. God knows where I would be.
Yeah, it'd be
what I mean?
so like I say that all the time. Like it, like this is something. This stupid thing is something we dreamt of.
Yeah.
And I got 10 years on you, easy. Like, wow. Like I'm like a kid now because I'm like glued to my phone.
Yeah.
I really am.
When I was in high school, man, and we had a beeper, the thing would beep when somebody wanted to talk to you.
How about
You had
that?
to find a payphone. That was so futuristic and almost gangster life to have a beeper in the 90s. And now it's like
you would get a 911 text if it was important, or you would get a goofy like boob text or boob list, or like like it was a calculator.
Yeah. It was like where you type hello and turn it upside down or some shit like that.
Yeah.
I remember all that. We're really showing our age, but it's all right.
Hey,
it's all right.
Yeah. I earned that shit.
I shaved mine off, man. But I'm almost there. I'm close.
Oh,
I'm not too far
man.
behind you. But yeah, it was great. It was great.
So, all right. So like that big buzz that was going on, I mean, and I noticed this, and this is an important question I want to ask, and I'll explain my reason for asking this question off air.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was the Anthony Renzulli band then,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still the Anthony Renzulli band, even though with this new stuff, which we're going to talk about, even though with the new stuff, it's more a totally different world than what you were doing.
Correct. 100%.
So is it truly a band still, or is it? Is it just you as the solo artist?
It is, but if I wanted to take it out, see, I'm doing this graduate. I almost had the second record done, the follow up to this one, which I might do a little bit more band stuff, but still in the traditional 30s, 40s, 50s blues kind of stuff, because that's where just my heart's always been. I've been a jazz. I grew up, my dad was a jazz drummer in Philly. He even backed Louis Prima at one time.
Really?
In the 70s. I don't know where it was at, man, but that was the big thing in the house. My dad played for Louis Prima, I'm just trying to think. Then it was just jazz, all the school stuff. I was in all those bands, dude.
Okay.
Show band, and it just kept going on and on from there. Not to really get into the entire story, but I'm kind of just to where I'm at now is kind of where I started with blues and jazz. My dad was a huge Cream fan, Zeppelin, Hendrix. We didn't have iTunes. Those were thank God that they were the records in our house. So I could understand, like, Led Zeppelin was like my portal to this kind of music that I play now. Because with the internet, you could go backwards and just keep going back. Oh, wow, that line goes to this guy. That line goes to this guy.
Right.
Wow, they didn't really write. And then you start figuring it all out. And I'm just stuck there, man. I'm stuck in like 1937, and I kind of don't even want to get out of it because it's so pure.
Yeah.
And so fantastic to where, like, all right, I'm going to do this music because this is what I love to do. I'm not doing it to try to get on radio. I'm not doing it to try to buy a house. If that comes along, awesome. But if it doesn't, I don't care. Because I have a record that I just want to listen to with my friends. And if people dig it, awesome. I'll make more records, But if they don't, I'm on to the next project already. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how it led up to that change in sound from more pop rock to just straight up sitting in a chair and spilling your guts out. That's where I want to stay. That's kind of where I'm going to stay.
Okay. So all right, so like we said, you had this thing going late 2000s, early to 2010s, with the whole alternative rock, pop rock in general, we'll say. And then the mid-teens, 20 teens.
Right.
like where did Anthony go? Because at that point, I know personally I wasn't hearing your name anymore.
Right. It's because I joined another band. I joined
Okay.
two bands actually. I joined the
Okay.
first band. The first band, like they were just friends of mine in the scene, and we're still like great friends. They're called Bong Hits for Jesus, and I
Okay.
played drums. I played drums for him just to get out of the whole Anthony Renzulli thing, and I played drums for them a little bit, and I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. And then all of a sudden, like my band started like falling apart in like a weird way. Like my bass player moved to San Francisco. God rest his soul. He ended up passing away.
Mm.
He moved to San Francisco. And like me and my guitar player, I guess we didn't like run out of ideas, just things were, we were getting older kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
I kind of just stayed there, and now I'll just get band members as it goes. But to answer your question, the beginning part of your question, I joined this band, Soraya, who's still out, and I just played rhythm guitar. I
Okay.
loved the people, the band was great. And they were working with John Bon Jovi too. Which I was like, all right, because like I always want to hang out with people that are better than me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like, fucking, I mean, whether you like them or not, dude, Bon Jovi, you know what I mean? 30,
Come on,
40 years. You know what I mean? 30, 40
Yeah.
years. They're still playing stadiums. So I was like, all right, man, this will be great, dude. It's a fresh band. They're just like, energized. There was a lot of like buzz about it. And I love the music. That was first, man. Like the music was real good. It was very Motown like, but still rock.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just went down that path. We were playing showcases, and then all of a sudden it was just like building and building and building and building. And I don't even like kind of, from there they started working with Little Steven. I think they're still working with Little Steven.
Okay.
But I don't know, something, I was getting the writing itch again.
Okay.
There was a few member changes and stuff, and I was honest with her, man. I was just like, look, like I think I'm just going to put this down and go back and focus on like my own thing or take a break, because you got to understand, man, I was going for almost 25 years at that point straight,
right
with no breaks, dude, from 94, 95 when I first started all the way up into 2013.
Wow.
Like without stopping, and like no major success, and with anything I've done, like nothing went into like, stadiums, arenas or anything like that. But I was always working one way or another.
Right.
And then I got so burned out, I started diving in and making guitars, building guitars, fixing guitars.
Really?
Yeah, man. I was so done at that point. But Bullwinkle mentioned this in 2014. To keep the story going, I played his Bonnie's Rocks reunion with John Corabi. And do you remember the Dead End Kids?
Of course.
Bill Mattson, Georgie Rumble, and Kelly James was there. Kelly James, you know what I mean? Like the
legend.
Man.
Yeah.
The man. I was sitting there playing, dude, like just looking at like, if I told my friends who they were, they wouldn't even know who they were.
Yeah.
But I know the story from hanging out with guys that are better than me, guys that are older than me, experienced. You go back to my 20s, dude, you would always find me with older heads, always. From the wisdom and the talent, dude. Like back in the 80s, you had to compete for talent, not for likes and views, dude. You had to be good, So watching these guys, when I know they were taking Philly over, they were taking everything over in the late 70s and into the 80s, and then Bill went to Tangier. And I'm just watching these guys watch me play, and it's just like, man, what the fuck? Kelly James wasn't even scheduled to play. I'm walking off the stage. He comes around the stage, and he's the first one to greet me at the stage. And he goes, man, that was a great set. Like, can I see your guitar? And I was like, what the fuck? Because I know this, because it's a big deal to me, man. Like,
sure.
I know the stories. And I knew the mic was still live. I knew the sound guy was back there. And I know Bullwinkle's nuts because he loves doing like the fast impromptu things. And that's what makes it great. That's why I like the guy enough. Because he's always like, fuck it, get up there. Get your fucking ass up there. So I kind of pulled the Bullwinkle on him, and I was like, dude, why don't you play some songs, man? So he goes, nobody wants to hear me play. And I was like, please, dude, sit down and play some songs. I was so fucking freaked out. I introduced him as Georgie Rumble.
Oh,
My God. No, it's Kelly James. Because, like, aside from like 2003, when he was doing blues jams at the Pirates, then he disappeared. Nobody's seen him.
yeah.
I know I haven't, you know. And here we are, 2014, and this guy just resurfaces. It's like, what the fuck, man? It was cool. Wow. It was real cool. But yeah, that's my Dead End Kids story. Like, they're the Dead End Kids, dude. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. I was just saying to my girlfriend last night, like when I was telling her a story about how, you know, at the Tommy Kiefer show when we first met and we were hanging at that bar with Bullwinkle across the street.
Right,
I said,
right.
you know, like I had my buddy with me and it was the four of us and we were talking, drinking some beers, and all of a sudden here comes Bill Mattson. And I'm thinking to myself,
yeah, like, he was there.
Like for a kid that grew up in the Philly scene and was like, so I'm like, you don't understand. This is fucking Bill Mattson, the Dead End Kids. Like, holy shit! Like,
exactly. Yeah. Because when you were probably a teenager is when they were really coming up. I think they were playing like Down the Shore a lot.
See, like I
think that's the story. I think.
Like in the 70s, I didn't know him. I was too young. Early 80s, when I was really starting about 82, 83, when I started getting in tune with the music scene, especially then tuning in with the Philly scene. And there was the weekly show on YSP Metal Shop, and they heavily promoted the Philly scene with the Dead End Kids and Tease and Denver.
Yeah.
I mean, Tease to me, and I'm very, very close with those guys now. And I tell them guys, I fucking tell them all the time. You guys, the first time I saw them guys live, 1985, they played on the back of a flatbed truck at 2nd and Chestnut.
That's awesome.
They opened for it was a all day show outside that YSP. YSP did that summer weekly free concerts. And they were the first one to kick off the summer. And it was a couple other lower bands, but then it was Tease, and they opened up for the band Keel, which is a major label band.
Okay.
And me and two of my buddies went, and we lived in Upper Darby. So we took the bus down to 2nd and Chestnut, and there was 20 fucking thousand people on the corner of 2nd and Chestnut for this concert. It was unbelievable, and we were smashed against the flatbed truck, and they came out and played this set. And I still tell them to this day, that fucking day changed my life completely. Still to this, 35 years later, my life is still changed from that day.
Awesome.
I will tell to my dying day, the greatest live band I ever saw is fucking Tease / Roughhouse, because even when they changed, they gave you the greatest fucking show on earth. Not Kiss. Yeah. Kiss gave you firecrackers and explosions and this and that. Okay. But Tease were the walking firecrackers and explosions, because each guy was a fucking spectacle, and they gave you a shit. And still to this day, when they play, I mean, I haven't seen them since I moved to Nashville, but every time since they've been back together, I saw them in Philly. I feel like I'm that 15-year-old kid on 2nd and Chestnut again.
That's great. You know what? Only music could do that, man.
You're absolutely.
Only music could take you, because there's some studio records I listen to and I go right back to. Sometimes you can almost smell it. As weird as that sounds. It just, I don't know. I guess it depends where your frequency level is, inside your body. But there's something about that. And only music really does that. I learned that very young. Like when you get the chills and shit like that, dude, that's something on a whole higher level that we don't even really know about. But it's pretty fucking cool.
It's beautiful.
It's pretty cool. And like Tease and Roughhouse, like I heard of those bands. I was too young to go to clubs when they were like doing their things. But Roughhouse was definitely a name that I always heard. Cinderella, Bon Jovi. All these bands coming from Dick Lee's.
Yeah.
The Galaxy, like all clubs. Like I never been to the Galaxy. You know what I mean? Like I was too young. I never been to Bonnie's. I was too young, But as you meet these guys, because like I said, I just gravitate towards people that have been there and done that.
Mm-hmm.
They would tell me all these stories, and all of a sudden I would just know the whole playbook of the Philly and New Jersey scene. And you
Yeah.
start seeing these people resurface. So it's like kind of cool, you know what I mean?
Super cool.
It has nothing to do with the internet or popularity. It has nothing to do with that. It's all based on talent and respect. So when certain guys walk in a room, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then it's great, man. Just being a part. Like I always loved the Philly scene. I always loved the Jersey scene too.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, man, there's not many clubs in Jersey that would never do the blues, or original music. Maybe down the shore.
Okay, so let's jump ahead. So Anthony has changed his musical style, which we kind of teased on, and he released this new album, and he's now completely like blues, old school, like he said, 30s, 40s blues.
Right.
Which I gotta ask, it's first off, it's a pretty fucking ballsy move because you think to yourself, who wants to hear the blues?
Exactly.
Especially in a live setting.
Exactly.
So to be able to do that is pretty freaking ballsy to do.
Thanks, man. That's one of the reasons I did. Just one little reason. Because it takes guts to spill your guts in front of people. Mm-hmm. And plus, I'm just going to be straight up. It's black music. Mm-hmm. And they do it the best, better than anybody.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like, yes, who the fuck is going to want to hear a white guy do this in 2023? It's almost 100 years. Well, that's why I want to do it. You know what I mean? Like somebody's got to keep carrying it on. And of course, there's millions of blues players out there.
Sure.
That are carrying it on way further than I ever could. And I get that. But I'm talking about sitting in a chair. Or maybe I'm just not out there enough to know that it exists. But I don't see it enough. And I said, you know what, dude, this is great. I'm always like, releasing myself into the song anyway. And I always love the blues. So like, I was like, I'm going to go back there and I'm just going to stay there. Whether it's not saying I won't do other things. Like I'm playing drums for Roger Stevens. We could touch on that if you want to, but like he's got an album coming out and I did some drums for him. So like I'm still in a bunch of different genres. I'm not just going to stick with blues and only blues, but when it comes to my stuff, I think I am. Yeah. I just love it. It's like real quick. It's almost like you're kind of like healing yourself in a way. It's crazy.
So what was the point? I mean, was there like a revelation where you said to yourself,
yeah,
this is what I wanted. Like this is what I'm picturing. I'm picturing you're doing this in your house for your own self fun and this and that, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So what was the story that, like, what was the revelation that happened that made you say, fuck it, this is what I'm going to do?
My relationship with Sign Studios and touching base with Obie O'Brien again. Obie O'Brien's Bon Jovi's producer, most known for Bon Jovi's producer. It's his best friend. And I met him he was making the Soraya record when I was in Soraya. But when I left Soraya, you know what I mean? We didn't keep in touch really that much. And plus, he's friggin' Bon Jovi's producer, so he's out with them,
Sure.
But something happened to where, like, he got a studio built at his house, Sanctuary 3 Studios, and he found out I was working on guitars, and he had a bunch of guitars that he needed to work on. So we kind of, like, touched base there, and then he was like, oh, well, we're opening up a record plant. And I'm like, what? He's like, a record plant. I'm like, to make records, like a record plant. And he's like, yeah. So I was like, what the fuck? Phil Nicolo's involved. It's called Studio 4 Vinyl, and it's through the roof already. Like they're just making tons of records. So I was like, oh man, I got those songs. I'm gonna make a record. And I made a record like that. Like the guy's so cool with me, man. Like he helps me out all the time. Like he's just you want to record here, you want to come here. He's just he's a great friend, and he's done a lot of like helping me out, like for sure, for sure. Um, and then Mike, I got to give credit to Mike and Matt at Sign Studios too. They just let me come in. Like making this entire record was almost done on the fly. Like I would be eating, and if I had a riff, but Mike, you still at the studio, man? Yeah, it's like, is the console still on? Yeah, and I was like, give me like 20 minutes. I just want to lay something down. Like get in a car and I drive over there and lay something down. And that's kind of like how I just went in there. No preparation, no nothing, just like kind of whatever came out, kind of came out. And if it was cool, we'd build on that.
Wow.
The songs with the full band, like of course they were worked out. I mean,
right.
Obi let me do the drums at his house, which was like I used one of Tico Torres's drum sets, dude, like one of his old drum sets, like a Pearl drum kit. Oh man, it just sounded great, dude. Like, and as a drummer, you're just like, oh my god. So I did 2 full band songs because of that. I had that luxury, as I call it, to do that. And then Mike just was very patient with me, man. He just let me be myself. We set up a microphone. I start singing and going. And that's why, like, you hear a little bit of rubs on the record. You can hear me talking on a couple songs on the record, like before the song starts.
Right.
Because it was really done. We were both just kind of like figuring it out. Mike didn't even know the songs. He was just kind of just with me. Like, we're all just kind of like, and then it all came together. And I was like, cool, I want to make a record. And Phil Niccolo helped me out at Studio 4. He also co-owns the place, Studio 4 Vinyl. And he mastered the record, which is, you know, like these guys are, I'm not worthy of that. You know, like these guys are professionals, man. Like these guys are like, they're hit makers, dude. Like to have that is such a blessing. I'm just grateful. I'm just really grateful that it all came together and stuff.
So when you started doing this with this whole blues thing, and you got guys like Obi O'Brien, and what did they say, like, I think you're fucking nuts?
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm sure.
Not directly, they wouldn't say that, but Ronnie Kittel, that dude is Memphis Delta blues. That guy recorded T Model Forward, man, and that is my island. Wow. Is that the Elmore James, the Robert Johnsons? All that's my island, you know. And this guy is from there, you know, and he's worked with these people. So I gravitated toward him more because, I mean, Ob and Phil are doing, like, it's so fast in their life. It's just so fast. Every time I see him, it's like, yeah, we got a machine. Yeah, we got 3 machines. Yeah, now we're building this and we're building that. And then it's like they go so fast.
Wow.
So I only bring like my important stuff to Ob, you know, like, hey man, is this all right? Is EQ okay here? And things like that. But Ob mixed my record for me. He didn't even have to, but he did. Which I was like, damn, dude, because I was in there myself. And then all of a sudden, Phil X from Bon Jovi walks in.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, that is
great,
awesome.
dude. Great, dude.
And he is, man. And like I've known him from like YouTube videos in the past, and to see him walk in, just sit there and be cool with me and totally nerd out with like guitar parts and just being nerds, man. Like with the guitar, like we're obsessed with it, you know. And like at the same time, I gotta mix my record, and like I was kind of like, oh my god, dude, this is awesome, but I gotta work on my record, you know. And Ob was he sat there for the whole time, and like, see, Obi didn't have to do that to me, man.
Sure,
like, he didn't have to, man. He could have put that guy in a hotel or something, or you know what I mean. Or Phil could have checked himself into a hotel, but he did that. He brought him in the studio for me, and I got a lot of respect for him because he understands. He could smell it, man. Yeah. He knows that I love it. I live for it. I'm not even married or have any kids, man. It's been this since I was a little kid. And I think guys on his level can see that. And I'm just grateful. I don't know how else to put it. I'm just grateful, man. But that's kind of how all of that came together. And I like moving that fast. It's fun, man. Because you're just constantly on to the next thing, you know. It's a beautiful thing.
So, like, when you start putting this all together, I mean, and I say this to everybody, especially artists, you know, a lot of artists now are putting together music, and it's like all done through email with other artists, and they never end up
True.
getting to actually fucking play a live show. So,
Yeah.
like you said 10 minutes ago, like there's not clubs that want to have you play the blues. So
Yeah.
aren't you? Are you able to get out anywhere in Philly to play? Like, are
I
you
don't
losing
I
your
don't know.
mind?
I don't know that I would like it would have to be like to play this kind of music, it has to be the right environment. People have
Yeah.
to want to hear the blues, you
Hmm.
know. Any other way, people are just going to be like, he's saying the same thing over and over again. It sounds like the other song. Like they're just not going to get it. And
Yeah.
I don't even blame the clubs. I'm not like the clubs looking at it like, well, dude, who's going to come in here and listen to this for 45 minutes? Like the clubs, it's not the club's fault.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to, to pack the seats, so
Yeah.
to speak. And there's only certain clubs that do it, and most of them are in Greenwich Village, man, New York.
Mm.
I've seen a couple blues clubs out there. I've seen, and down south. I mean, my God,
Sure.
everywhere you walk is a blues club. But I would go out and play those kind of shows.
Mm.
Shows that it's just like it's a downright blues show.
Right.
Everybody's there because they want to hear a Delta blues-ish style music. I'll go to that. I'll even travel for that.
Mm.
But to be the weekend warrior, man, the only ones that are doing huge are the cover bands because the cover bands, you know what I mean? They get all the chicks, they get the money because they're working musicians. You know what I mean? Like I'm not after that, so it's very hard to find clubs that are willing to take in a complete bluesman, it's tough. I hope it comes back though. I hope it does because that's my island, dude. I love it. I love the blues.
I mean, it's hard to find. Let's face it, clubs to even bring in original music,
Yeah,
let alone blues. I mean, you
yeah,
you,
it's true.
you even made it harder on yourself.
It's true. It's true. Which another reason why I do it. My whole life I've been throwing myself in the fire. My whole life, man. Like, because if you're not on fire, what are you? What do you? What are you? Like you have to. In the worst of situations, I've played a show. People where you could feel that
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear this,
Sure.
and you still play. I
Hmm.
like that in a way. Right? So where like you're about to throw up, but you don't throw up. Like that's when I know you're going to get the full me, the full like electricity that I have in my soul. Because that's just going to keep me. I don't know. It's so hard to explain, and I'm sure wrestling's the same way, dude. Like we talked about it earlier. The crowds, the electricity. There was an electricity. I try to tell kids today. There's an electricity in arenas with rock and roll, with even wrestling. Like arenas would move. People were so like they would move, man. And it's not like that
The
anymore.
ECW arena, not like it's changed owners many times over the years, and they've tried to recapture what they've done, and what it is now with the 2300 arena. I was there before I moved here. Um, it's a lot nicer building than what it was. It was an absolute fucking shithole in the 90s. It was a like disgrace. Complete shithole. But it was exactly perfect for what ECW needed.
Right.
And it would be packed to the gills, literally with a shoehorn, squeezing people in that place. And it was just electric.
Electric. Right. That's what I try to tell people. There's an electricity that happens when
Yes.
it's over the top. I remember my first concert was Page and Plant, dude. And when the roar happened, I never heard a roar
Wow.
before. I like had to hold my ears, man. Like you're never gonna find that anymore in arenas like that. I mean, there was an actual roar that would hurt your ears. Like the Beatles had the screeching. Like I heard stories about the screeching. My mother saw the Beatles in '66.
Wow.
She's like, we couldn't even hear them because they were just screaming. Everybody was just fucking screaming. She's like, oh, we got to look at them, like we saw them, but there was an electricity, and I gotta say, Dude, I saw Bruce Springsteen one time. I swear. I saw Bruce Springsteen in 2009 at the
Okay.
Spectrum, before the Spectrum was about to get knocked down.
Mhm.
It was his last show. It wasn't the last show, but it was his last show. And I'll tell you what, dude, I was on the first level, and it was shaking, man. It was moving. You could feel. I wasn't that drunk, but like you could
I don't
feel
believe
it.
you.
There was an electricity, man, in that building. Like you could just feel it. I don't know. I can't explain that, but it's missing today. Unfortunately, it is. Because think about it, when you want to take a picture of the show, you get a little distracted a little bit, and it just pulls you away a little bit.
Everybody, like people get caught up now in doing this more than doing this.
Yeah, I've accepted it. It is, it is. I don't want to be like to sound like the old guy. It is what it is. But like, I try my best. Like if I see like, I saw the Beach Boys one time, and Al, the guitar player, was playing his old Stratocaster from the '60s, and I was like, oh man, I got to get a picture of that. Took a picture and I put it away. I try to be the guy that just takes it real quick, puts it away, because I don't know. You're there for the show. I just feel like I'm disrespecting the artist, especially I feel like I'm being disrespectful. I don't know. So I try to just not even bring it out during the show. I try.
It's so like for me, like I would end up like sitting there with the phone, and I'll be the first to admit I'm super guilty of doing it myself, and I feel like I'm trying to like I was having this conversation with somebody a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm sitting there saying, I'm here enjoying this amazing show. Why the fuck aren't you here?
Okay. Yeah, there is some of that.
Yeah.
I got you. And like I said, I'm okay with it. And I'm sure the big dogs are okay with it too now.
Yeah.
Like in a way, it's like free advertising in a way now.
Exactly.
If you look at it that way. So like, it's almost like a blessing when you see somebody that wants to record you. You know what I mean? It's almost like, oh wow, that person wants to film you, so you're doing okay there. It's almost like
right.
Maybe it's that. This guy's awful, man. You gotta see. I'm sure there's that.
Sure.
But most of the time it's this. That's how I look at it now. If I see people filming, go ahead, dude. I don't care. You know what I mean? Exactly. At this point, I got nothing to hide. I ain't ashamed of nothing. I'm not scared. Film away.
So all right. So as you say, you got nothing to hide, and you're not scared. So are you doing shows? Are you playing? Like, what are you doing?
Right now, no.
Are you pulling your hair out?
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. Like big time. I don't want to risk. Not so much risk. I don't want to. I want to go to and play at a place where I just know it's a blues club. I'll go down south right now. I got nobody here. I'll get in my car and I'll go right now. If I know there's a club that is dedicated to the blues and people like that, I don't care if it's 5 people in that place. I'll play here. I'll play there. But I'm not going to go into like a bar anymore, and just like any old bar that has bands and like you said, playing original music alone, let alone people wanting to hear the actual blues, is very rare in New Jersey, which I kind of like that, because now I'm only playing to people that care about it, rather than people that don't care about it at all. And everybody's into different kinds of music, man. Most of my friends hate the blues. They hate it. It's the same song over and over again. That's what they say. Same song.
What did people say, or what have people said to you when you put this out?
I'm gonna give you my
I guess your facial reaction alone said so much.
My best friend Dave, he has been there from day one. He's seen me at my best and he's seen me at my absolute worst. Okay. He was there for it all. And I'm like 20 something years now. When I put it out, he's like, best thing you ever did. I still hate the music. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, you got through it at least. You hate it.
Right.
But you got through it. And I took that as a win, especially because he said, it's the best stuff you ever did. I still hate the music. Honest. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm just trying to be myself. I want to carry the torch in a way. You're never, ever, ever going to do it better than the pioneers. Nobody is. And
Exactly.
I think everybody accepts that, unless you got a real attitude problem. But I think everybody accepts, look, it's a black art. It's a black music.
Mm-hmm.
They're the best at it, but they ain't here. And like the Rolling Stones, they picked it up and they brought Howlin' Wolf on TV when the TV station in 65 were so racist that they thought the Rolling Stones were bringing on a howling wolf, like a wolf. Dude, the music started. They brought out that big black guy and he blew that horn, man, and he started singing and changed everything. Because that was the first time on television that people said, this comes from somewhere else. Like there's another, I think, and they were thankful. Like Muddy Waters, I said, I've heard that he said, like, he was thankful of the Rolling Stones for getting them some kind of recognition. They didn't look at it like they were stealing anything.
Right.
They were like, oh, well, thank God somebody's playing our music. That's great,
Yeah.
Which, how crazy is that? You know what I mean? Like, how crazy is that happened? You know what I mean?
True.
But I just love the art. I try to respect it as best as I can. I don't try to be something I'm not. I sing it the way I sing it, and I play it the way I play it, from my chest into my hands and out. I don't try to sound like anything. Oh, is this good enough for radio? I don't give a fuck. I'm just going to play it how I play it. And if you like it, awesome. Awesome. If you don't, there's a billion other bands, dude. I don't know.
There you go.
It's just music. To some people, like at the end of the day, with all the problems we got in the world, it is, I guess to some people, it's just music, but to me, I don't have a heartbeat without it. I really don't. I really don't.
So are you doing any other type of music, or is it just like you're just focused on blues now, or?
No, I've been playing. All of a sudden, I started playing drums again for Roger Stevens, who's the lead guitar player of Blind Melon.
Okay.
And he has a studio, and he's got some stuff he's working on. I don't know if he's putting anything out, but he's working on some stuff, and I love the music, man. And plus, I work on all of his guitars. So like I fix all of his guitars for when he's got to record and go out and stuff. So he's like, "Oh, well, you play drums too?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, come over and lay down some drums, dude." I laid down some drums, and it was a blast. It was a blast, dude.
All right, Blind Melon. Refresh my memory. Was that? I'm trying to think. That was the B Girl song, right?
Yeah, No Rain. Yeah.
And the singer died?
Shannon did. Yeah, he passed away.
Okay.
I think it was 95. He died.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So they played Philly the same night of an ECW show.
Really?
And they stayed in the same hotel as us at the old Travel Lodge across from the Penrose Diner.
I gotta ask him about that.
That was our stomping grounds. Was the Travel Lodge, and they stayed there one night, and we ended up fucking partying with them guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was like a week or two later, fucking Shannon died, and I was like, oh my God,
so
we were just fucking banging with them guys.
Oh, so it was 95.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh man, I remember when that happened. I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
As soon as I got to high school, because that was the biggest song even then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No Rain.
Still
no
is.
Rain.
Yeah, it still is. It really is. Like, it's incredible band. I mean, even I loved all the other songs even more. Like, because back then you had to buy the cassette tape or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up liking the other songs even better. Change and all those kind of songs and the heavier songs. And they put out another album, Soup, I think it is, and then I think he passed away around that time or shortly. It's been a while, but it's sad, man. It's sad because he was magical in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I never turn them off when they're on the radio.
Wow.
They're just like, how like there's certain songs you hear on the radio, you're like, oh my God, turn it off. I don't want to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that one, you just kind of leave it on. It's got like, I don't know, that little magic that everybody's looking for. It has it in there.
Yeah.
And it still gets played today. Like but it's been awesome, like working with him, like his music, like Rogers, my God.
Wow.
I mean, like his vocal, his delivery, songwriting, guitar ideas, and it was a blast just to play drums on it. It was a
Mm.
blast. I don't know if he's going to put anything out, but if he does, you'll be the first to have it. But yeah, it's been cool. So I do other things. Yeah.
Do you think, with the way the music business is, and I mean, the business side financially, but
Mhm.
it sucks and blows, and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But creatively, I think it's amazing. And it's now like people like yourself and even um, artists that were major bands and major artists and this and that. It's now to a point where they can dictate and play what they want to play, like you're doing from your heart,
Yeah.
instead of what somebody in a suit's telling you from an office you got to play.
Right.
So, do you think, even 15 years ago when there was the buzz around Anthony Renzulli and it was
Hmm.
a different world musically still then, if it
Right.
was like that today, do you think you would be attempting what you're doing now?
I almost wish sometimes I could redo it all
Hmm.
and do what I'm doing now in a way. I'm not ashamed of anything I've done in the past, but I just feel like maybe I was just going about it the wrong way as far as chasing the levels, to
Right.
trying to get on the radio and trying to write that hit song.
Hmm.
And I don't write like that anymore. And like I wish I kind of did like all this blues stuff before, but I know I wouldn't have a band. I don't
Wow.
think any of those guys at that time, because there was a big heavy metal scene too.
Yeah.
Um, they were leaning more towards the heavier side because that's what they
Hmm.
liked, and I was cool with that. I didn't care. Like everybody likes what they like. Everybody plays what they play.
Sure.
Um, but I kind of wish I was doing the blues and everything from the very, very start because I'd be a lot better than I am right now. You know,
Mm.
so I do think like that, but you can't live in the past like that. So I
Right.
just
No.
keep moving forward, and I'd play, as it is. But I think I'm going to stay here. Like if I were to check out tomorrow, like I'd be happy that I'm here doing
Wow.
that kind of music. And speaking of the metal bands, I wanted to tell you, the ECW arena in Philly.
Yes.
I was in a heavy metal band at the time called Lip Splinter, and we played that arena. It was an ECW arena. I think it was on Front Street. Does that make sense?
Down on uh, Rittner and Swanson, which it's like a block off Front Street.
It was an angled door, like you got in like through the corner,
Yeah.
kind of like.
Hmm.
All right, that's the place I played, and we set our drums up on that riser where what's his name got body slammed. I forget where it was because there was levels to it. There was the whole wide open
Yeah.
floor where the ring was. Then there was like another tier, and then there
Mhm.
was the other tier, and dudes were jumping up there like, and that's where I set up my drums. I climbed all the way up, put my drums all the way at the top of the thing, and fucking played up there because I did like the ECW arena, dude. Like everybody was getting wrecked at that time, man. This was like I don't even like maybe 03, 04,
Wow.
somewhere around that time. Yeah, it was cool though, man.
Yeah, because they started doing. I guess it was right around then that when they started doing concerts there. Because
Yeah.
I saw the New York Dolls play there. They might have
Oh
been around
wow.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That
Yeah.
is that is just so cool. But yeah, I'm a big wrestling guy, dude. Like I said, Joel Gertner, dude. Joel Gertner, man, my old bass player used to come over and we used to shout those lines for hours, dude.
Well, well,
The
well.
quintessential stud muffin, dude. When he used to announce those, we would laugh our balls. Everything was new. Every time he did something was new. There was
And
the
he.
one line when he said, "I can't keep from hurting her, Gertner." I would lose it, man, laughing. Like that guy, he could have did anything with that microphone, dude. He could have did anything with it.
The funny thing was he started like literally like he was a fan
Hmm.
who was friends with some of the people and started like hanging out backstage as like a gopher.
Wow.
and then they started letting him be like an assistant, like ring announcer. And then all of a sudden, like when the luchadors came in, like somehow they
The
discovered
luchadors.
like he knew Spanish, and he started as like the Spanish announcer, and then it just escalated like into this whole monster of monstrosity of sorts. And like every time I see him, first I just fucking love Joel to death. And every time I see him, I tell him the same thing all the time. I'm like, number one, I want to steal your coat. I love that fucking coat.
Oh, that fucking coat was great. That coat was great.
And number two, I will still to this day, 20 plus years later, I'll go on YouTube. If I need to put a smile on my face, I'll go on YouTube and I'll put in Joel Gertner, and people have done best ofs. And I will sit there for 20 minutes.
Right? They're just
And
over and over.
Yes, I will laugh my ass off for 20 minutes nonstop at every single thing he says.
This is the great one. I got a fucking list of them. It's it is Joel harder than the tree that hit Sonny Bono, Gertner. And that was at the time when it happened. Like, it's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, we would just laugh our balls off as teenagers, man. I'm the peeled banana in your fruit bowl of love. Like, that dude he's a one-liner genius, dude. He's a genius on that.
And he would write. He told me he would write those while sitting on the toilet.
Incredible. Just he's the Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah,
because Eddie used to write riffs on the toilet. We joke around about that. So Joel Gertner, the Eddie Van Halen.
Yep.
Of one-liners, man. Oh, he would have our whole. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting there with your boys, dude. Like, you're in your early 20s, late teens. You know, when I was a senior in high school, you guys were, holy shit, 99, 98, 99. Oh, the New Jack era, dude. Like, you're going to have to tell me stories about New Jack one day, man. Just all those, dude. Rest his soul, man. I heard he just passed away, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy. A year ago.
I heard him, Sam, man. I heard they were like the real deal, man.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are the real deal. Blue Meanie, too, man. I met the Blue Meanie one time with Richard Christie of the Howard Stern Show,
yeah,
dude. Man.
Yeah.
The band, the Hickson, dude. Shout out to Flip and Mark. They were this heavy metal band. They brought out Richard Christie's band, and he brought out the Blue Meanie. So I got to meet the Blue Meanie. Like,
where was that at?
The Cherrywood in Blackwood, New Jersey, at the time.
Okay.
This was probably 2000.
Yeah. Picture, I think I was there. Yeah.
There's a picture on my Instagram. You probably were there, dude.
I'm pretty sure I was there.
I was 25 or 26 at the time. So I was younger because I was working there doing sound for the bands and shit.
It was like probably late 90s, I think.
Maybe. Nah, well, the Cherrywood, no, I didn't start really working there until like 08.
Oh, all right.
So I think this was like maybe.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm trying to think. There was because there was a night too that my band had played the Pontiac, and when we got done, I went over to the club that was next door to the Electric Factory.
Whiskey Dick's, dude.
Whiskey Dick's. I went over to Whiskey Dick's.
I had a residency there.
Yeah, and Meanie was there with Richard Christie, and we were all hanging out one night.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I wonder if I was there that night because I played Whiskey Dick's around then every Tuesday and Thursday. And there was always, dude, the parties. Incredible.
That was a cool place.
Incredible, dude. They'd lock the doors. One time they brought the whole New York Mets in, dude. We stayed there till like 5 a.m. getting hammered. We were there all night, man.
I could tell you a funny story about that place with me. Very embarrassing story, but I don't care. So, went to see Cinderella. The last time Cinderella played the Electric Factory, it was, I think, around 2010.
2011. I was there.
2011. Okay.
Yeah.
So, go there and see this amazing show. Get done, getting ready to leave. And I somehow lucked out and got a spot right in front of Whiskey Dick's. Right? So me and my ex and a friend of mine, we go to get in the car, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I got to go to the bathroom. Like, oh my God. Like all of a sudden it just my stomach just out of nowhere. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, I'll be right back. And I run over to the doorman. I'm like, dude, I gotta use the bathroom. And he's like, go. And I run in, I just run into the bathroom, I run into the stall, and I'm doing my business. And all of a sudden I realize as I'm sitting there, there's no fucking toilet paper.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, I'm literally now, I'm like, I'm pulling out my wallet and I'm like, I have like $3 bills. I'm like, am I using dollars or am I using my socks? Like, what am I going to do here?
Oh my gosh, dude, that's got to be the worst.
And all of a sudden the door opens and I hear somebody go, oh God. And I recognize the voice. I'm like, Rice, is that you? And he's like, who's that? I'm like, it's Bay. He's like, oh my God, dude. I'm like, dude, there's no toilet paper. Find me toilet paper, please. And he was like, what?
Oh,
And
sure
yeah,
enough, he
next
saved
thing
the
I
day.
know, roll of toilet paper over the top and
Oh man, I wonder
saved
who the
my life.
bouncer was, dude. Was it Sean? I think his name was, or whatever.
I
He
don't
had a
even.
bandana. He had the bandana. We were so cool with all those guys, man. We would always have a blast there. I'd come in just like we would do, like from sometimes it was the early. I forget which day was the early versus the nighttime, and we always had a blast there. It was
Yeah,
always awesome. There was guys that used to bring Harleys in there, dude, and just do burnouts inside of the place. It was so loud, but it was cool.
cool, cool.
Like it was cool.
So all right, so the album it's out there, Mad Mad Blues. It's all over the place. So did you just do vinyl, or did you do CD as well, or did you just say straight?
No CDs. I just did a limited edition. Like I think there's a few hundred copies,
Okay,
and that's going to be it. So when they go, and they're almost half gone. So
that's awesome.
it's yeah. I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful that there's people out there that like it. And it's been positive. I'm shocked. Because like you said, it takes guts, and you don't know what kind of reaction you're going to get, dude.
Yeah,
But it's all been positive. So that's why I'm just like I said before, I'm just thankful, that
that's
I can
awesome.
at least do it, especially at the age that I am now, dude. I'm almost an old dog, dude. Like to be able to do this. They're like, you're full of shit. You're a baby.
Yeah,
Phil
like
Niccolo, Phil
he,
Niccolo said that. He's like, you're a fucking baby, which makes me feel good. It makes me feel good.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
man.
I will. Where should we send everybody the best place to go?
I'm gonna send them to the cheapest place because there's a few like some stores don't have it. You have to
Okay,
tell them, and then they'll order it. But when they do that, it's not the store's fault. You might get taxed a little bit by doing that. So the cheapest
right.
way to do it, just go to our website. It's $20. You get the poster, you get the autograph insert, you get the record itself. There's custom sleeves in there. Shout out to Studio 4 Vinyl, man. Everybody there was they did such a professional job on it.
That's awesome.
Everything came out the way. I couldn't be happier with it. Definitely proud of it because it's honest. It's
Yeah.
very raw. It's very honest. There's no I even used a 1968 Neumann microphone, original, just like one old microphone, old instruments, and tried to capture that old sound. And I'm just thankful that we were able to do it. But the cheapest place is anthonyrenzulli.com. Or you could just Google it. Like now, if you just type in Mad Mad Blues, it'll come up like in a Google search if that's easier. But it's $20 for that, and then a short little shipping and handling fee. Versus if you went somewhere else, it might even cost you upwards of $40, dude. So it's a lot of money. I know
Yeah.
for a vinyl, man, it's crazy, but that's the times we live in, man. I remember sitting there and just getting like 50-cent records, like just grabbing like 50-cent records. But times
Exactly.
have changed. Yeah, times have changed for
Great.
sure. Yeah.
Well, Ant, this has been amazing talking to
Yeah,
you.
dude. It has, dude. I miss you, man. Like if I ever get
You
down south or whatever, man, I'll definitely stop by. But
Yeah,
if
we
you're
need,
ever
we gotta,
if you ever come here though, man, you gotta let me know.
yeah, when I come back to visit, I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you know. But I'm gonna look up a fucking blues club and say, yo, this guy wants to come, and he don't care if there's 5 people here, but he's gonna fucking rock your balls off.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, and I'd be looking forward to it too. But really, thank you for having me on, man. It was great catching
Absolutely.
up with you, dude. It
You
really
too.
was.
You too. And I'm down to it a little bit, but cheers to you. Cheers to the
Cheers.
album. And let's catch up soon. I got more to talk about, but I got a jet, and
Okay.
we'll talk soon.
All right, buddy.
Everybody, AnthonyRenzulli.com. Go there right now. Order the album. You won't be disappointed.
Thank you.
Disappointed, even though it's a blues album, you'll still be happy.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right, bro.
Have
I'll
a good
talk
one.
to you soon. You too.
See you.
Bye.